Hello, everybody. Mothers, fathers, children, wherever you are. I hope you are ready for a story. But why do we tell stories? Why do we listen to stories? Well, what are stories but life? Stories about life and living. And they are as old as human beings have been around. Because they are about human beings and what happens to them and how they deal with what happens to them. And so if you want to learn and grow, not only grow up, but grow smarter, grow wiser, and know how other people deal with problems or with other issues, then listen to stories, read stories, write stories. Stories can make a big difference in your life. They do. Take it from me. Stories and reading and writing took me from the township of Guguletu to New York City in the US of A. Took me from domestic worker to work at the United Nations organization at headquarters in New York. Stories are life itself. Do yourself a favor. Whatever else you like, try to get hooked on stories. And because this is Heritage Month, we are going to tell a traditional story. I hope you'll enjoy it. A long, very long time ago, long way back there, when giants still roamed the earth, and pigs could fly, and chickens could talk, there was this poor woman who lived with her daughter, Nomatse, in a little house by themselves, just the two of them. She was poor, but she worked. So every morning, she would leave the little girl by herself, and because she didn't have enough money to find somebody to look after her, so she'd close the door and say to her, "No, Mtanam, do not open the door for any." And then they had a code, a secret code between the two of them. She would sing softly at the door so Nomatse would know it was her mother and open the door. So she would leave in the morning and then come back tired. Late afternoon, go to the door. Nomatse mtanam, Nomatse vulangu mama, Nomatse mtanam, Nomatse vulangu mama. And Nomatse would know and open the door. And then they hug each other. And then do whatever people do when they come back from work. Eat, wash, and go. But one day, she came back and sang her song. And Nomatse saying, come in, mama, and opened the door. But they didn't realize something very dangerous. Someone was listening and heard and saw all this. Big giant was hiding nearby. And he thought to himself, one of these days, there's a meal there. There's a meal in that house. He went home. Well, guess what? One of those days came quickly. He was very hungry. There was nothing to eat in his home. He looked at the wife, he looked at his son. He suddenly realized where he could find something to eat. Noma Tanam Volandingen Noma. The little girl knew. That's not my mama. Go away! Go away, wicked whoever you are! You're not my mother! Angrily, he stomped away. What shall I do? What shall I do? I want that needle. Then he had a bright idea. He went to a sangoma. Didn't tell the sangoma why he wanted a beautiful voice. He said, Sangoma, please help me. My voice. There's a choir. I want to join. The sangoma made him swallow a very hot metal. Guess where he went when his voice had softened? No matem tanam fulandi ngende. No matem tanam fulandi. Mama, look! At once, the giant grabbed the child, stuffed him in a sack he'd brought with him, and threw the sack over his shoulder and started going home. Woo! The poor child was wriggling and wiggling in the bag, wriggling, but the thing was tied right here. She couldn't scream. She was inside, but she couldn't scream because he had looped the rope around her before tying it at the top. On the way home, feeling very happy with himself, he saw, they have drinks over there. So he went to this home on the way, and can I have some beer too? So he put the sack nicely, carefully, right where he could see it. And the lady of the house said, okay, we'll give you some. And then as she was giving him, she noticed that the sack, there was movement in the sack. This couldn't be pumpkin. It couldn't be potatoes. It was something live. She got suspicious. Had a brainwave. Sir, she said to the giant, I can give you more beer if you'll only go and fetch water from me from the nearby river. My back is not so healthy. I can't do it myself. So if you... Now the giant loved beer. He loved food, but he loved beer even more. Okay, I'll go. He grabbed the calabash the woman gave him and walked as fast as he could to the river because he wanted to get the beer and go home and get the snack in the sack. What he didn't know is that the clever woman had given him a calabash with a hole. So as he walked back, the water would flow right out, and he went back. But meanwhile, the clever wife, the woman had called her husband, hey, father of so-and-so, come and look here. Something suspicious here. And when they opened and found the poor little girl, they took her out and collected a lot of things. Well, they live near the forest. A lot of things like snakes and frogs and wasps and lizards and bees and ants. You name it, they put it there and tied the sack just as he had tied it. It was the same size. He wouldn't be suspicious. And just when they finished that, they hid the little girl and said, don't scream, inside the house. The giant came with an not full calabash. He was quite fed up. Put it there and said, my dear, He took a little sip and said, I'm taking it home. He was in a hurry. He got home. Wife, son, what have you brought? Nothing? Oh ho, I'm going to eat first, and when I'm done, maybe there will be something for you. He got inside the house, locked himself in so he wouldn't be bothered by those two greedy, useful things he called wife and son. What did they bring? Here he was bringing beer and something he could eat. So he locked himself in. Boy, did he get a surprise. He opened the sack. Whoa! The bees, and the snakes, and the lizards. Nobody could open the door for him. That thing's beat him. He wriggled, he screamed. He was on the floor. He was jumping up and down. He tried the door. It was locked. He couldn't. Finally, when he couldn't even open his eyes, finally, he opened the door, didn't stop and ran. Screaming, he ran to the river. Oh, he wanted everything to go bump into the water. Head first down. And there he got stuck. His two legs up in the air. Stuck. And today, you know what? If you go near a river and you see on the river bank tall tree trunks that look like they belong, those are his legs. Over the years, they became tree trunks. Meanwhile, guess what happened to Nomatse? She got safely home, safe to her mama, and lived happily ever after without the giant. Phela phela ngantsu. End of story.